Good morning, children. Today we will study History, Chapter 10 New Empires and Kingdoms. In this chapter, we will study about Gupta Empire, Prashasthis and what they tell us, Samudra Gupta's Prashasthi, genealogies, Harshvardhana and Harshcharita. In the previous chapter, we have studied about the Mauryan Empire, and just like any other empire, the Mauryan Empire could not last forever, and indeed it only survived Ashoka by 50 years. But 3 centuries later, the Gupta Empire emerged in the same region. Sri Gupta founded this empire between 240 and 280 CE. This information we have got from Prashasthi. Now, what is Prashasthi? Prashasthi reveals to us how rulers needed to portray themselves as valiant and triumphant warriors. In simple words, it is Prashasthi is a special kind of inscription meaning in praise of. They were composed in praise of the rulers. An important example is a Prashasthi of Samudra Gupta. It is a poem in Sanskrit composed by his court poet Harisena nearly 1700 years ago. Samudragupta's Prashasthi tells us the poet praised the king in glowing terms as a warrior, as a king who won victories in battle, who was learned and the best of poets. The Prashasthi was composed in very long sentences. Harishena describes 4 different kinds of rulers and tells us about Samudragupta's policies towards them. Example of Prashasthi is Prayag Prashasthi. We know about Samudragupta from a long inscription on the Allahabad pillar, which is the best example of Prashasthi, written by Harishena. Samudragupta had ascended the throne of the vast Gupta Empire. This one mentions Samudragupta's great grandfather, father, and mother. His mother Kumara Devi belonged to the Lichavi Gana, while his father Chandragupta was the first ruler of the Gupta dynasty to adopt the grand title of Maharaj Adhiraj. Samudragupta, in turn, figures in the genealogies of his son Chandragupta II's Prashasthi. Chandragupta's second court was full of learned people including Kalidasa, the poet, and Aryabhatta, the astronomer. He led an expedition to western India where he overcame the last of the Shakas. Harishena described 4 different kinds of rulers and tells us how they were treated. Chandragupta 321 BCE and 298. First unified centralized government in India, defeated the Macedonian Persian general Seleucus. He feared assassination, used spies, food testers, slept in different rooms, etc., and gave up his throne and became a Jainist monk. Coins which were used during Gupta Empire: king as horseman, king as lion slayer, king and queen type, fantail, peacock. These were the coins which were used during Gupta period. Samudragupta was the son of Chandragupta I. Allahabad pillar inscription describes as well. He too expanded Gupta Empire. He is also known as Napoleon of India due to his bravery. He won many wars and was a powerful ruler. He first defeated northern rulers like Mathura, Padmavati, Achetera, Bareilly, Western UP, and Eastern India. He made 12 South Indian rulers like Odisha, Andhra, and Tamil accept his power. Many rulers of Bengal, Assam, Nepal, MP, and Rajasthan surrendered to Samudragupta. Many neighboring rulers offered their daughters to marry him. He was a good administrator, musician, poet, and scholar. He was also known as Kaviraja. He respected all religions. His empire covered much of north and northwest India and extended east and south until Narmada River and made Kannauj his capital. Samudragupta, son of Chandragupta I, crowned Samudragupta to be the king for his abilities even though he was not the eldest. Performed Ashwamedha Yagna, very talented in musical instrument of Veena. Study of art, literature and science flourished. Buddhist monastery at Bodh Gaya was built during his reign. About 1400 years ago, Harshvardhan was a ruler of Thanesar. Banabhatta wrote his biography in Sanskrit named Harshcharita. Xuanzang spent a lot of time at Harsha's court and left a detailed account of what he saw. Harsha became king of Thanesar after his father and elder brother died. His brother-in-law was the ruler of Kannauj who was killed by the Bengal ruler. Harsha took over the kingdom of Kannauj. The Gupta Empire flourished under Chandragupta II but the downfall began after that. Harsha was not the eldest of his father but became king of Thanesar after both his father and elder brother died. He conquered both Magadha and Bengal. He tried to cross the Narmada to march into the Deccan but was stopped by a ruler belonging to the Chalukya dynasty, Pulakeshin II. Fashion life in Gupta period. Chinese Buddhist monk traveled along the Silk Road and visited India. He was following the path of Buddha. He reported the people to be happy, relatively free of government oppression, and inclined towards courtesy and charity. Harshavardhan was responsible for maintaining political stability in the greater part of the northern India for nearly half a century. Unfortunately, Harsha could not leave behind any able successor, and therefore his mighty empire collapsed like a house of cards immediately after his death. After the decline of the Gupta Empire, the northern India was in a stage of disintegration. Several small and independent states sprang up into prominence and remained busy in internecine quarrels. Harsha's conquest. Harsha defeated Shashanka of Bengal and saved his sister. He occupied the entire India, including Bihar, Bengal, and Orissa in the east, conquered Punjab and Sindh in the west, and received title of Emperor of Five Indies. He also has friendly relation with King of Kamarupa and Sri Lanka. Harsha generously supported the Nalanda University. He had a good tax structure. One fourth of all the taxes collected were used for charity and for cultural purposes. He was a competent military conqueror and an able administrator. Harsha was the last king to rule over a vast empire in India before the invasion by the Muslims. Banabhatta was his court poet and he composed the Harshcharita, which gives an account of Harsha's life and deeds. He was a competent military conqueror and an able administrator. Harsha's capital city Kannauj extended 6 to 8 kilometers along the river Ganges. The city was filled with magnificent buildings and structures. He also had a systematic tax structure in place. One fourth of the taxes went towards the administration of his empire. Harsha then moved towards the south only to be stopped by Pulakeshin II of Vatapi. As a result, the Narmada became the southern limit of Harsha's empire. Under Harsha, the small republics from Punjab to central India were reunited. Like many kings of that time, Harsha was a true patron of arts. He supported the Nalanda University with financial grants. He was also an author of repute, having penned Sanskrit plays like Nagnanda, Ratnavali, and Priyadarsika. Nalanda University. It was one of the leading universities in ancient world. Harsha reserved one fourth of the income of expire to the development of the Nalanda University. It had a huge building with 400 acres of campus. Dharmachakra was a symbol of Nalanda University. It has 10,000 students and 1,500 teachers. The ratio between the teacher was 1:7. The greatest military achievement of Harsha, war against Pulakeshin, second emperor of Chalukyas and Badami. Both emperors met each other on the bank of Narmada in 620 AD. The war continued for 2 years, but no one won the war. Finally, they became good friends and returned back to their capitals. Hope you people have understood the chapter. If you have any problem or anything is not clear, we will discuss about it in the online class. Thank you and have a nice day.